Merryl Hammond, author of Mad Like Me, Travels in Bipolar Country. I'm here with my husband Rob, long-suffering husband of 31 years, who was with me through all the dramas that I actually chronicle in my memoir. Rob, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like for you as my husband going through that?
Sure. I can remember several distinct phases that characterize the early onset of bipolar. That's like during the first 3 to 6 months. The first phase was one of confusion and disbelief. From living with a partner who was always caring and intellectual and rational to someone who was suddenly in your face and irrational. That was a huge change, and we didn't quite want to believe what was going on. And that quickly moved on to the next phase, which was denial. We were trying to deny that Merrill was ill, and we certainly would have done anything possible to avoid the stigma of mental illness. That didn't last long because you can't deny. There's nowhere to hide. And then the next phase was the wild ride down the river of madness. And at that point, all we could do was to hold on, not knowing where we were going or where we were going to end up in the time to come. After that initial wild ride, that led up to Merrill's first hospitalization, and that was a time to learn to cope with the logistics of care, and also to learn to cope with the institution that felt more like a penal institution rather than an institution of care. That I found particularly difficult. I rebelled against all the controls and what I felt was the lack of care. And then after that, we had to settle in for the long haul of providing care and learning how to give Merrill what she needed. And that was a hard learning curve. We didn't have the tools that we needed for that.
That's a great segue, because you know very well that there's some different audiences that I had in mind when I wrote this book. One is for people like me who have bipolar, to help them learn to cope better. But another major audience is for people like you, the spouses, the children, and so on, the family caregivers. Do you think that if you'd had a book like Mad Like Me, that might have helped you?
Hey, you're putting words in my mouth here. I read everything I could and spoke to as many people as I thought would be of help in those early days. And they were very helpful. The books were indispensable to try and fill in the gaps. But I needed more. There was so much more that wasn't said, particularly for us as carers, about what not to do. That was difficult, and we paid the price for it. And
How?
I think
You're being obtuse.
Well, we said the wrong things at the wrong time. I remember once calling you a harridan.
That went down well?
It went down very well, and you had to look it up in the dictionary. And but I think Mad Like Me helps to fill in the gaps that I needed at that time. Other people might have different gaps that they need to fill in, and for anyone who's a companion down this kind of a journey into bipolar country will need to arm themselves with all the resources that they can find, and I think that Mad Like Me would certainly have helped me at that time. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for doing this, and thanks again for everything you did for me while I was so sick.
Oh, it's payback time.
Who ever thought that phrase we said, in sickness and in health, would come to this, hey? High drama.
High drama indeed. Yeah,